Good afternoon and happy spring and welcome. Happy spring and welcome to the Rotary Club of York, the 26th largest Rotary Club in the world and a club dedicated to imagining and living out the Rotary model of service above self. I am Glenn Miller, the club president. Our song today, the Star Spangled Banner and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Cal Wu. Our invocation will be led by Kelly Gibson, and our visitors and visiting Rotarians will be introduced by Tom Caltagirone. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices.
Rotarians, please join me. When we say we can see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hail at the dawnlight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please prepare yourself for prayer in the manner in which you are accustomed. Founder, disruptor, inventor, these types of person creating a new way of doing things all on their own. Let us remember and give thanks for all of those along the path to new creation who are part of the process. The hands outstretched to support when we stumble, and the sage advisors whose guidance set our feet in the right direction so these accomplishments can be achieved. We are grateful to have a sage advisor with us as our speaker today to bring clarity and understanding.
Good morning. I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Glenn has welcomed you. Today, visiting Rotarians, Tom Geno from Lancaster, Mary Kay Bernowski from Hanover, and for our guests, Tom Kaiser, guest of Ron Bunce, Claude Taylor, guest of Andy Ravitch, Scott Simons, guest of Youth Leadership. In fact, the following 6 guests are from Youth Leadership. Sweta Reisen, Raisian, okay. Charlie Green, Ruth Green, got the Green family here. Joe Green. Sarah Goodwin. Karina. I got it. Guest of past President Guy Hershey. Ryan Dellinger, guest of past President Guy Hershey. Shavania, guest of Shavania Corbin Johnson, excuse me. Shavania Corbin Johnson, guest of past President Rob Bowen. Jose Santiago, guest of Jules Tolbert. Again, guest of Jules Tolbert, Michael. Steve Stewart, guest of
And Sandy Wilder, guest of George Simon. And congratulations on passing the hissing ritual for introducing guests today. Tom, well done. Friends, we are delighted to have you with us, especially welcome to the city of York. We're delighted to have you, Michael. Hopefully you will enjoy our program today, as well as the diverse leaders that surround you at your tables. I hope you will return to us in the future to visit, and I hope you consider joining our ranks. Please. You may be seated. Several announcements before we continue with our program today. Youth Development Committee will meet immediately following this meeting in the terrace room here at CCY. The Membership Committee will meet on Monday, March the 27th at 4 p.m. at Fox 43 offices. The Communications Committee will meet on Tuesday, March 28th at 3:30 at the Grill at Regents Glen. So that sounds like the most fun committee to be a part of. I assume even though it's 3:30, you'll be looking at it as after 5 o'clock somewhere in the morning. So the 30th, the Membership Committee is hosting a networking event at the York SPCA. Please contact Rob Barron if you are interested to register. And as a reminder, our March 29th meeting, that is 1 week from today, at the Uptown Hotel. Today is the deadline for Rotarians and their guests to register to attend. Use the QR code on your table. The link found in the announcer. Please note that we will be able to accommodate guests for that meeting. It's very important that you pre-register. And remember, if you use the QR code on your table, please turn your Wi-Fi on your phone, similar to the way that the microphone right now is on. Oh, sure. Thank goodness I have a stage voice. Thank you to those who have so generously contributed to our Turkey earthquake relief efforts. We continue to welcome donations to that effort to match the $5,000 that was pledged by CEF. We would love to have those donations in by the close of the month. Directions on how to donate are in the announcer, or you may contact Lynn directly for more information. At last week's regular meeting of the club, the membership of the club received the recommendations of the nominating committee for the offices of officers and board members. Those nominations had been affirmed by the board of directors and were presented to you and affirmed by you at that meeting, and nominations were closed. As they say at the Academy Awards, the nominees are Adam Jacobs as president, Courtney Piccolo as president-elect, Doug Bowman as financial vice president, and Wilda Ram Alessi as president-elect nominee. And as members of the board of directors, Elaine Bonneau, Kelly Gibson, Bill Hartman for a second term, and Cal Weary for a second term. The slate of nominees having been affirmed by the membership and pursuant to the bylaws of the organization, that slate is now before you this week for election. Are there any questions of clarification before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor of electing the aforementioned nominees for Board of Directors and officers of the Rotary Club of York signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. I declare that officers Aaron Jacobs, Courtney Piccolo, Doug Berman, and Rhoda Aresi, and members of the Board of Directors Elaine Bernal, Kelly Gibson, Bill Hartman, and Cal Weary are duly elected to their respective offices and positions. Would those who are present from that slate please rise? Thank you very much. My thanks again to the nominating committee and to the board for the work that went into this effort. And now past President Al Sykes has a legacy committee moment for us. Al.
Friends, Rotarians, countrymen, lend me your ears. For I come not to bully Fred Rosenmiller, but to praise him. Fred Rosenmiller, a member of this club since 1965. That's before many of you were a twinkle in your mother's eye. An interesting story. Fred was recommended by Louis Appel. It was actually Fred's brother who recommended to Louis to recommend Fred. And Fred's brother never actually joined the club. And I know how you feel about that, Fred. I have an older brother who always recommended me for stuff too. Fred is one of, if not the oldest active member of the Rotary Club of York. And you might be saying, geez, what a dinosaur. Well, no, but Fred does have a dinosaur egg. In fact, Fred is a collector. That the Agricultural and Industrial Museum is to be named Fred's Garage. I'm not talking beanie babies and beer cans here. Fred collects legitimate stuff. I mean, he's got everything from every cigar wrapper that was ever on a cigar in the county of York to a Pullman motor car, from a $3 million note, Zimbabwe, to fossils and dinosaur eggs. But you see, Fred is very smart, because when Fred decided he wanted to become a member of the Legacy Society, he's a collector. He said, well, you know, I want to be able to show it off, to enjoy it, to meet the people who actually take advantage of what I want to do. So Fred did that now and has endowed a scholarship for nurses. And he gets to meet them and see them matriculate as nurses. And you too can be like Fred. Because your other option is wait until you've gone to your and give money to a bunch of to your kids. You can set some of that money aside for the Legacy Society. And that way, those things that you value now, you can be assured will continue long after you're gone. So here's my suggestion. Be like Fred, or not. Think about contributing some part of your will to the Legacy Society so that the work of this great club can continue on and on forever. Thank you. And thank you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Al. It's great to see the work of the Legacy Committee continuing. Thank you, Fred, and all of those in this room that have remembered the club in their estate planning. We are grateful. I know that Al is one of those people himself. And of course, in Al's case, we won't receive those funds until after his death, which we've scheduled for next Thursday. Sorry, you set yourself up, Al. So. All right, and then Linda has some words to present. Linda, the microphone is yours.
Hey everyone, I'm old, so I need glasses. We have two rock stars, one from York College of Pennsylvania and one from Penn State York. So Sweta Rasian is a psychology major. She will be graduating in May of this year. So this is going to take a while. She's president of Lion Ambassadors, co-chair of University Programming Board, co-chair of Multicultural Club, senator of Student Government Association, student worker in admissions, student marketing assistant in student affairs, orientation leader, running out of breath, orientation leader for domestic and international students, and she is also part of the Graham Fellows program. Her hobbies are reading, watching TV, hanging out with friends, and spending time with family. Her awards or distinctions, she was a recipient of the Eric A. Josephine Walker Award 2022, Community Service Award 2022, Penn State Alumni Association York County Chapter Award 2021, and Dean's List 2021 and 2022. Her career plans are occupational therapist. She'll be starting her master's in OT in June at Messiah University. And we've got Charlie Green, who's also an incredible rock star. He majors in accounting and finance. He'll be graduating this spring. He is school activities captain of the York College men's swim team, president of York College Student Senate, resident assistant, York College student ambassador, and Newman Club Catholic ministry. His hobbies are running, swimming, binge watching shows, and cooking. Other awards and distinctions, he is a recipient of the William Kane Citizenship Award. He's a 7-time Dean List recipient and awarded 3 days ago. He was earned a position on the All-MAC sports team in men's swimming. Career plans, complete the CPA exam. He'll begin as a pass-through tax associate for KPMG out of their Philadelphia office starting January 2024. Sweta Rasian.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Scott Simons for nominating me for this award, and also for him and Dr. Christensen being here to support me getting this award. I'll also like to thank everyone at Penn State York who gave me many opportunities to be involved on campus and be part of all these clubs, organizations, and jobs. I gained a lot of experiences and friendships through being part of these various organizations. And I don't want this to stop with me. Like, I want the same experience to happen to new students. So, which I'm able to do by being in like these different leadership positions and telling other students how important it is to be involved on campus. So they will also get these opportunities like me. And again, this would have not been possible without the support of every staff and faculty members at Penn State York and also my peers. And finally, I would like to thank the Rotary Club of York for this award. Thank you.
And now we have Charlie Green.
So this is my first acceptance speech, so I forgot to write my thank yous in, so I'll do those real quick. First, I want to thank my student activity advisor, Sarah Goodwin, for nominating me for this award, as well as the York College community as a whole for allowing me to do all the awesome things that I've done during my 4 years there. I also want to thank you all for this award. It is an honor to receive it, as well as for hosting myself and my family. As a poor college student and an athlete, I can always appreciate a good free meal. So It seems like yesterday, I was a wide-eyed freshman about to take his first steps as a college student. Now here we are, almost 4 years later. My time to walk across that stage is about 50 days away, but I mean, really, who's counting? Some of my fondest memories of my college career are walking to Central Market with my friends on weekends, competing in dual meets with my teammates, and holding events around campus, being a part of the Student Senate. As we all know, we just hit our 3-year anniversary of when the world came to a standstill. I was fortunate enough that York College was open in the fall of 2020, but things seemed different coming back to campus. Students didn't know how to get involved, and we were amidst a second pandemic as well. This one targeting students' mental health. Depression and anxiety rates were at an all-time high, and many did not know how to navigate this post-pandemic environment. I look back on how I cherished those memories I made my freshman year and decided that I want to help others partake in those same feelings that I did. Even as the curtains of the pandemic peeled back, many were hesitant to dip their toes into the great water park that is York College, as well as York City as a whole. This pushed me to get even more involved, creating mental health programs like York Unified Initiative and opening opportunities to bring York to students instead of waiting for them to come to York. This past year has been a blessing, seeing so many traditions and events come back that disappeared in 2020 and has brought me so much happiness. Seeing so many people smile and enjoy all the great things that York has to offer, just like I did 4 years ago, has made all the hard work I put in worth it. Even though this is not about recognition, thank you once again for this award.
Sweeta and Charlie, congratulations on what is clearly a well-deserved award from both of you. It's a special delight for this club to be able to recognize college graduates in the way that we do today. And along with the certificate, I hope that the checks that we gave you will, provide a couple of more meals after this free one here today. So thanks so very, very much, and congratulations. And now, through the wonders of Zoom, we are welcoming Christy Rangilli, who has a presentation from the Literacy Committee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christy Rangillian, Executive Director of Community Connections for Children, formerly Child Care Consultants, and a member of the Literacy Committee. My thanks to Bobby Ann, who shared these words from the Best of NPR from March 12th with me. And I quote, "Ian Falconer died this week. He was a theatrical designer, but became best known for his children's books that celebrated the mischief and merriment of a piglet named Olivia. I'll miss them both, Falconer and Olivia." Olivia, of course, lives on in the series of utterly charming children's books. Falconer both drew and wrote, initially as a gift for a niece named Olivia. Reading is often a solitary pleasure, but reading a book to a child is collaborative and enriched by questions and giggles. Olivia, drawn in simple strokes of black and gray with red garments, invokes both. She builds a sandcastle that looks like a famed skyscraper. She sees a Jackson Pollock painting and thinks, "I can do that," and tries on a wall of her house. The books we take in as children so often sink into our minds and hearts and stay with us for life. The loss of a great artist like Falconer reminds us that the span of a creative life is limited, but the joy artists put into the world can go on and on, particularly the joy of children's books and their impact on our lives. Maybe you grew up with Madeline, Winnie the Pooh, Make Way for Ducklings, or Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel. Perhaps you're a fan of Wrinkle in Time, Johnny Tremaine, Snowy Day, or Where the Wild Things Are. Did you read Dr. Seuss, Click Clack Moo, Jumanji, Frog and Toad, Little House on the Prairie, Boxcar Children, or the Treehouse books to your children and grandchildren? And at the risk of losing control of a room I am not even in, please turn to the person on your right and share the title, just the title, of your favorite children's book. For those of you on Zoom, feel free to put that in the chat. And what if you didn't have access to books? What if these wonderful stories and characters weren't part of your childhood? Unfortunately, for families struggling to meet basic needs, books are a luxury and trips to the library aren't always possible, especially if you don't have car or money for gas or the bus. 61% of America's low-income children are growing up in homes without books. Books in the home are the single biggest indicator of academic success, surpassing income, parents' education, family composition, and all other factors. Academically, children growing up in homes without books are on average 3 years behind children in homes with lots of books, even when controlled for other factors. Children in middle-income families engaged in 1,000 to 1,700 hours of picture book reading with an adult. Compared with children in low-income families, that number was just 25 hours. And this gap plays out in their education and success in school and life. This is why each year the Rotary Club of York commits to raising funds to supply books to children. This year we are supporting children enrolled in DHS certified home-based family providers located in New York City. These providers serve children from infancy through school age and often provide second, third, and weekend shift care. They provide a literal and figurative second home for our York City children and a critical support to prepare them for success in school and life. I invite you to be generous, to think back on your favorite books from your childhood or the favorites of your children and grandchildren. Make a donation today so that a York City child can have similar memories. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you very much, Christy. And again, as always, you can find instructions on supporting the Literacy Committee's efforts this month in the announcer or by reaching out directly to Lynn. And now, without any further ado, our esteemed program committee chair and past president Mike Summers will introduce today's program and speaker. Mike.
Okay, before I start, I should just mention that the program committee will be getting together in May, which is just a little more than a month away. So please think of your people you'd like to hear from and get those suggestions to me, if you would, please. Our speaker today is Linda Duessel, a senior equities strategist with Federated Hermes, who's responsible for articulating the strategy, process, positioning, and performance of Federated Hermes equity portfolios. Linda is a CFA charter holder, a CPA, and a CFP professional, and has more than 35 years of investment experience. Linda will discuss today Bitcoin and other virtual currencies. Bitcoin's been around since 2008, but its price, size in the market, and transaction volume has exploded in the last few years. Most investors are aware of its existence, but they do not know very much about it other than that. Interest grew rapidly since 2019 as several major public companies lend it credibility by allowing for payment in Bitcoin, as well as holding it as an investment on their balance sheet. We must first demystify cryptocurrency. The blockchain has been called one of the most disruptive innovations since the advent of the internet. This presentation explains the concept and the many others that are important to understand, as well as opportunities and risks in cryptocurrencies in general and Bitcoin in particular. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please warmly welcome Linda Duessel.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Mike, so very much for your kind introduction, for inviting me to talk to the group again. and Glenn and everybody in this club. I was here last year and I find that it's very life affirming to be with you all. It's very, very great to be with you all. I don't have time to say this now. We'll mind the time. And it's lucky you don't have to hear so much from me about this subject, because I could go on and on and on, but I do have to say, shout out to the fellow whose dream is to pass the CPA exam. And I just have to say to you, as a fellow CPA lady, it's a great, great way to start your career, no matter what you may end up doing. And what most people don't know about CPA firms is they're very romantic. They're very romantic. I find my old man there and see, they're laughing because they don't understand, but you will. Especially to keep that long due, which we couldn't do back in my day. But in any event, no time for this shenanigans. No time for the shenanigans. I want to say to you that in my time at Federated Hermes, I've been there for 33 years. And I've done a lot of public speaking since then. I'm a market strategist. We go on TV. We tell people where we think the stock market's going to go mainly. But I also, in my role, because I've been there for a long time, have the opportunity to prepare presentations based on areas of interest that might be of use to advisor clients and then my fellow American investor. I have had the opportunity to deliver, I think I may have 8 or 9 different presentations to deliver each one of these since COVID began, and we did a lot of meetings by way of Zoom. And I tell you that no matter which presentation I gave, I could talk to you every month or almost every week. Not every week. I could tell you about all these presentations in the last 2-3 years. No matter what I would talk about, come time for question and answers, there were 2 questions that came up all the time. One was, where are all the workers? Which thankfully we don't have the time to talk about right now. And what is your view on cryptocurrency? And, and because of that, I put together this presentation to demystify cryptocurrency. What is also very life affirming about your group is that insofar as cryptocurrencies are experiencing a severe winter right now, you might even call it an ice age right now, it's so great to be asked to discuss cryptocurrencies. I've wasted 3 minutes just saying all that. And so I dive into cryptocurrencies. There are too many slides in my presentation, and so I'm going to make certain, so as not to talk too fast and breeze through them too quickly, to focus on the ones that I want to leave the most impression to you. When I first started studying cryptocurrencies, I thought it was a joke, a big joke, and I meet a lot of people who feel that way about it. But if you studied crypto as much as I did, I think that you may come to the belief and the realization that it is not going away. Yes, it's early on in a phenomenon. That is absolutely true. It is not going away. Bitcoin is not going away. Ethereum along with it is very, very exciting. And things are happening as we speak along these realms. And the future is going to be there. So no matter what happens in these next number of years, it does behoove us to kind of understand about cryptocurrencies. Now I'm attempting to advance. What is Bitcoin next, please? Should we just, oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, so it was in 2008 when the original creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, we've never seen this person. We don't know if it's a person, if it's a group, if they even exist. But Satoshi Nakamoto said, basically, I'm working on a new electronic cash system. No cash that you have in your hand, no credit card that you have in your hand. It's all done through a database that will be secure, peer-to-peer, no matter where you are in this world. If you have Bitcoin and I have Bitcoin, I can send that money to you dollar for dollar, and depending upon where you are in this world, you can actually use it to pay for goods and services. It can be anonymous. You don't need a third party. Why do we need credit card companies to take a piece of the action when we want to buy something from each other? Why do we need to write a check? That is so much of a dinosaur type situation. What this is an advancement using databases, using encrypted databases, which makes it very difficult for bad actors to hack, to allow us to transact in a seamless, instantaneous, and protected, time-stamped and protected. That is what this is. There were a few geniuses about Satoshi Nakamoto, and one of them was the encryption on something called the blockchain. There's no time to explain all this to you, and you're blessed because of that. But the blockchain has never been hacked. We've all been hacked. Our bank accounts have been hacked. Our credit cards have been hacked. And particularly with Bitcoin and the encryption work behind verifying each next transaction block, it only gets more and more and more difficult as time passes, so that the blockchain on which Bitcoin rests, on which Ethereum rests, has never been hacked. And the longer we go here, the odds are that should at minimum pique your interest. Oh gosh, no time for this. There are three categories of cryptocurrencies. The standalone ones at the top are the ones that you may have heard of. Bitcoin was designed to be a currency. Will we ever use Bitcoin as a currency in this country? Of course not. No major developed country that as a central bank is going to allow anything to get in the way of the fiat currency system that what we have now. No, it is not going to be. We thought it was a digital gold, but I would have to argue over the last year and a half or so, it didn't hold its own as a digital gold. But it definitely has a place, does Bitcoin, and I would like to explain that to you. Ethereum is completely different, and it's all about secure contracts. Both of these are happening as we speak around this world. No time to talk about these others. Suffice to say that the recent problems that we have seen in the banking system has touched crypto. Two of the banks that went under, Silvergate and Signature, I believe is the other, were both related to cryptocurrency. The SEC chairman, his name is Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is very keen on making sure that the consumer in America is protected, and even as it goes cryptocurrency. The fact that Gary Gensler taught at MIT for 2 years, knows cryptocurrencies inside and out, makes him a very good regulator. And for those who would say it's a shame that they're all over this, are going to start regulating this, the fact that the SEC has a whole department right now that is focused only on cryptocurrencies gives it lends it a credibility. Yes, it is the Wild West. So was the internet in a day. And those of you young people or anybody out there who I may have met before, may have heard me speak earlier this morning, may think I'm smart. I was around back in the day when the internet first came to pass. I was around for that. And I said to myself, I surely hope this thing goes away because this is too hard for me to understand. Can you imagine going through without this? And as you so well explained on introduction, Mike, the idea of the blockchain, which was one of the geniuses of Satoshi Nakamoto at the beginning, which is behind all cryptocurrencies, that genius is absolutely not going to go anywhere. And you will continue to see this happen. Asset-backed coins, these other things, not time to discuss. It is early on, and there are numerous reasons for why it will go nowhere. The maximum number of Bitcoin that can ever be mined will be 21 million Bitcoin. The founder of Bitcoin and the encryption database called blockchain below it is such that you will never have more than 21 million Bitcoin. That's why they thought it would be kind of like a digital gold. Why do we pay up for gold? Mainly, the only way you make money with gold generally is if somebody pays higher for that. But it has centuries and centuries of being thought of. Why do we think gold is as a source of
a source of stability. Why do we bid it up in times like these? Because we all agreed that it would. That is why Bitcoin could be. Maybe why Bitcoin's been having one great go this year to date, if anybody's following such. It's what we decide for it to be, but that was part of the genius. And is it a currency? This is the St. Louis Fed saying, this is what you need to be. You need to check off all these boxes if indeed you will be a currency. First is the US dollar. Obviously, the US dollar is our currency. Does it check off the boxes? It's obviously durable, it's portable, it's divisible, it's uniform, and we all accept it from each other. If you give me a dollar bill, I will accept that as if it's worth something, even though it's just a piece of paper, really, because that is our convention. Is there a limited supply? And one reason why this became so much of a phenomenon was because of the sort of money printing, the unprecedented, by far and away, money printing that we have seen around the world, and especially in this country, that makes people, when they worry that we're going to trash our system, as good luck would have it. I've no time to get into that. But my blood is boiling as we speak. Is good a currency? No, gold rather. No, gold is not a currency. It has a lot of the attributes, but it is not acceptable, will not be acceptable. And Bitcoin, will Bitcoin be durable? Well, time will tell if it will be durable. And that's all around the globe, and obviously not yet accepted. But I will say this to you. If you have a Bitcoin account, you can attach that account to a Visa card, and you can take that Visa card anywhere where Visa cards are accepted, and merchants will accept your Bitcoin for payment without even knowing it, because that credit card will immediately transfer it into cash. So that's as close as we're going to get to call this cash. Not time to show this, but I do want to really emphasize this. If I ever thought that this was a joke, this particular chart changed my view, because what we're looking at here is, and maybe it's hard for you to read this, we look at the whole wide world, and about a quarter of the world's population has no access to a bank at all, none at all. We are lucky to have banks. If you don't have a bank at all, you're relegated for your entire life to a life of poverty. One of the main reasons why Satoshi Nakamoto said, I am going to put this together. If you were in a family in Nigeria, for example, and one of you had the great fortune to come to the United States and work in the United States, you want to send some money back to your family, the traditional way to send money back, and they'll take 9 cents off the top of each dollar automatically. But if you have a Bitcoin account and they have a Bitcoin account, do you know that if 25% of this world population is unbanked, 65% of those people have a mobile phone? You can transact with them. You can give them 100 cents on the dollar for Bitcoin, and they are using it as we speak to trade for goods and services, as opposed to, I'll give you my goat if you give me whatever, which has been going on. That very thought alone, you may not think it's legitimate at all in this country, but it is very much legitimate around the world for 25% of the population. Very cool chart, not enough time to really get into it. Ethereum is completely different than Bitcoin. I'm sorry they're all called cryptocurrencies. I am sorry Dogecoin is called cryptocurrencies. Does anybody know what Dogecoin is? Anybody in the group? Young and all kinds of young people. And if you don't know what Dogecoin is, you are lucky. Dogecoin, a joke that really ran, that really ran. Why did it run? Why anybody could create a cryptocurrency. And there have been tens of thousands of them. This is why Gary Gensler, who is in the SEC and working on this very issue, said it is the Wild West right now. The Wild West needs to get tamed, but the fact that there's so much attention is being paid to this argues that it is credible. It is on the road to credibility. We welcome the regulation. Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, but not really a currency. It is a contract system that uses this magnificent blockchain, which has not been hacked, has yet to be hacked. Do you know that bad actors are today hacking our healthcare records, the most personal information that you have, and they're hacking them? And the healthcare system is very keen on development of systems through Ethereum that will safeguard this information. The sort of waste, fraud, and abuse that's going on in our government, in the money flows out of the government, Social Security, Medicare, et cetera, the sort of abuses that are going on, that is part of what's going on here. There are all kinds, and what this chart attempts to do is show from the very least complex contract to the very most complex contract. Right now, as we speak, Ethereum contracts allow for your landlord, for example, to remotely lock you out of your apartment if you fail to pay the rent, or out of your rental car if you fail to pay for that rental car, and all kinds of contracts across many, many areas of our society, and they're happening right now. Very, very confusing. Oh, very, very, very non-fungible tokens. Does anybody know what an NFT is? Excellent, excellent, excellent. NFTs, non-fungible tokens, kind of difficult for me, but the one that I like the best is a non-fungible token is if I say, well, I'm going to a cocktail party and I'd love to get a brand new dress, and I can, and I can envision and see, gosh, this is what it would look like exactly on me, and I can do that. I can do that through this system. Amazon is working on NFTs. Meta is definitely working on NFTs. These are working as we speak. Non-fungible tokens are being used as a way to safeguard the ownership of, for example, musical artists in general, to trade in general. It's a little bit hard to get your mind around, but this continues on even as we speak. So I see it's 5 after it almost time. I want to show you, okay, volatility. This, I think, is a very interesting chart on the volatility of Bitcoin. And what this looks at is the volatility of Bitcoin here in the light blue, since it really came into the trading zones of 2009 and plus. And then the volatility of gold back in the day when it first came out here, back in the 70s, when it first became widely traded. When you're at the beginning of a thing, you may see more volatility than otherwise. But if you just listen to everything I've said now and say, I reject the whole thing, I've no interest in this, you're going to have interest in this. It's necessarily going to happen because of central bank digital currencies. So our central bank and others, developed economies around the world, and most importantly, China, not developed with the second largest economy in the world, are developing their own central bank digital currencies. You can use your bank account. You can get cash out of your bank. You can write checks out of your bank. You can use your bank account now. This is just further progress, if you will. Central bank digital currencies will be a feature. One reason why China does not want any Bitcoin running around their countries, because they want to know everything that their population is doing, and they will have access to this by way of central bank digital currencies. All around the world, these programs are being worked on to include our own Federal Reserve. It is only a question of time, and we'll get used to it in as much as we did the internet, and it should be much more secure than many others. So more than any other reason as to why you should try to maybe understand it is because it's going to be a feature of your life within the next 10 years for sure. And so I think I just had better stop. Bitcoin was an excellent diversifier until last year. And that's why a lot of people thought that it was a very good thing to add to their portfolios. Not so much now. Oh, it's at the far end of the risk spectrum, and that is a statement of fact. So the DeFi economy, decentralized finance, if you're not familiar with that, it's a very interesting subject to read about now. one of the reasons why some people are not worried as much about the United States in the event of more bank failures is because banks aren't used so much as they had been in the past. There's a whole shadow banking system, that's gone on outside of banks. Decentralized finance is inevitable. So to finish my comments, this was over 150 years ago. A philosopher once remarked, all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as self-evident. That's the quickest I could go through. Oh, I just want to show you this one last one. Laszlo's dubious distinction. Laszlo, and this was back in 2010, just after Bitcoin came out into the world to be shown. He was one of the engineers back in the day. And so the original people involved in Bitcoin, they got lots of Bitcoin. They got lots of them, and we were so much money today. And here was Laszlo. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and he just really wanted some pizza. And he just went out there and said, I'll give you 10,000 Bitcoin for I just want 2 pizzas. I like sausage on my pizza, or whatever he said. 10,000 Bitcoin today, when each one's going for $28,000. That's his dubious distinction. And there's my commercial. So thank you all so very much for your kind attention. I think I did reasonably well at 9 minutes past. And so if anyone has. Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anyone have a question or comment? Yes, please, sir. In the behind you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so the gentleman asked the question, well, if Bitcoin is really going to survive this, why isn't it attached to maybe commodities like gold was back in the day to the US dollar? And Bitcoin is a standalone cryptocurrency. It might love to have that sort of recognition, but it's not there. It's not that far on the road yet. And nor will the leadership of our SEC allow for such thing. In fact, the leadership of our SEC and this whole department they put together have been trying to figure out how to regulate it at all. They couldn't even decide if it's a security or not, or if it's a commodity, what is it? And so to try and fit something like that, some brand new advancement into the books that we have right now, very, very difficult. And it's taking a long time. And it's definitely being slowed down by what's been going on here lately in our general financial system. So that would be lovely. And we're nowhere near that far on their road to credibility. One thing that I did, I was reading a little bit just to get more up to date on what's been going on lately, since I haven't been asked to talk about cryptos in a while. And as I said to you, a couple of these banks that got into big trouble recently, and people were worried if their deposits were safe. Some of these banks were holding the US dollar crypto, which is a stable coin that helps you manage through the cryptocurrency universe. And those who owned it actually saw that buck being broken, and then they were made whole again when the government said we're going to back everybody's deposit even over 250. That's a bit of a shout out to credibility for crypto. You've lost everything. But that's I feel like that's going to be a little ways away. Your comment. I'll go back and tell my bosses I'm lucky they let me even put this together. Yeah, okay, I'll take that back to the boss. Day before I retire, I'm going to take that to the boss. Oh, but I'm sorry, this gentleman, forgive me.
I still don't understand the purpose.
So the gentleman asked, I don't understand why you have to do so much computing power, take so much electricity, really to verify transactions, just to create a new Bitcoin. And it is a difficult thing to understand and to articulate. But one thing that I want to say is that in the concern of all the electricity that is being taken by these huge computer farms that need to do millions of random calculations just to get the exact right calculation to verify this group of a couple of thousand transactions to add to the long ledger called the Bitcoin ledger. By the way, when you do that, when you solve that, if you're I call it the winner, but if you're the one who solves it, then you're rewarded in Bitcoin, which each one is worth 28,000 today. So those who are involved in trying to do this, do it for a monetary reason, for a value reason. And that is to say, this is the secure way of guaranteeing that the Bitcoin transactions are legitimate, that the blockchain is not been hacked and is unhackable, in as much as if you did a transaction at your bank, it would be date and time stamped forever and ever. And in the ledger called the Bitcoin ledger on blockchain, once a transaction group is verified, it's added to this very long chain, and it is verified and forever. It's a proof of a manner in the computer realm, like a contract, that it has occurred. This is the safety safety you would want to say it's a legitimate currency. And if I want to send you money through this system, you're the only one who's going to get it. So the reason they do it is because they're paid for it. And they're changing systems to make that virtually free of electricity use. Advancements are being made to address the climate concerns while keeping all the good reasons for it in place. It's kind of confusing. Yes, please, sir.
Local, state, and federal governments depend upon the revenue generated by financial transactions, centralized currency. But what's going to happen if, in fact, we have a decentralized currency and all transactions are going to be anonymous? How are they going to be generating their funding? Are governments thinking about these larger issues?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the gentleman says, how are governments that, getting fees from all these transactions going to allow for us to do transactions with each other and not have to use that middle where they're not going to allow for it? That's how they're not going to allow for it. Bitcoin will never be a currency in this country. But if Bitcoin is accepted well enough for Visa to say, we're going to put together the hardware to allow us to accept your Bitcoin as a form of payment for whatever goods or service you're running through us, that's a form of legitimacy, and that's a way around it. You're still going to pay Visa for that fee, though. You're still going to pay that fee. Bitcoin is really meant for the third world countries who need financial inclusion. That is one of the very, very, very best reasons that this should never go under. Again, Ethereum is not trying to be a currency. Ethereum is trying to be smart contracts. And that is part of the future, in as much as anybody who's studying artificial intelligence, one of my next presentations will look at artificial intelligence and how exciting that is. As ghost technology, I don't understand it. Let go and let God. That's my view. Let go and let, these young people. That's my view. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Linda, thank you so much for your presence with us today. I don't know that we fully understand cryptocurrency now. But I'll speak for myself and say I understand more than I did 45 minutes ago. So thank you for that. And we'll have you come back and talk about AI, because that's something else we don't understand anything about. And maybe you can bring us along. Linda has very kindly signed the book plate in the book, Different is Beautiful Too, written by our own Melanie Haiti here in the community. And this will be donated this week to the Smith STEAM Academy, along with a bookmark. We now have bookmarks that have been created by students at Creative York that are going with each one of our donated books. Next week, we will meet again off-site at the Yorktown Hotel. Our speaker, appropriately enough, will be Jack Kay, who will discuss the 7-year journey to renovate the building and recreate this precious jewel in downtown York that we all love and cherish and are so glad to have back. Please register by close of business today if you plan to be with us next week at the Yorktown. Our closing quote for today from Quincy Jones: "Imagine what a harmonious world it could be if every single person, both young and old, shared a little of what he or she is good at doing." This concludes our meeting, friends. We stand adjourned. Thank you.